Welcome back to Business Edge. Nigeria's total public debt has risen by 2.38 trillion naira to become 1.01 trillion naira as at the end of June 2020. This is according to data obtained from the country's debt management office. The current debt profile includes the total debt stock of the federal government, all the 36 states in the country and the capital territory, Abuja. And Nigeria is still borrowing. In June 2020, 850 billion naira loan request was sent to lawmakers by President Muhammadu Buhari, the implementation of which spills into 2021. Another 4.28 trillion naira is scheduled to be borrowed from both domestic and foreign debt markets to finance the 2021 budget. But Nigeria and the Naira keeps moving further into the red. The Naira on its part gets further devalued. It had been on a downward spiral since the COVID-19 lockdown impeded the earnings of oil-dependent economies like Nigeria. Incidentally, the multiple exchange systems being used by the Central Bank of Nigeria has been a thorny issue with multilateral lenders like the World Bank and IMF. The Nigerian government seems to be complying. The first indicator was the removal of oil subsidy, and next is the foreign exchange system. Currently, the Naira trades against US dollar at 380 to $1. The Naira went down by 20 Naira since the lockdown when it sold at 260 Naira to a dollar. Back to the studio to help make sense of these developments is an economist who joins us now on the program, Dr. Bonface Chizea. Welcome to the program, Business Edge.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, let's go straight into it. Is it appropriate for Nigeria to devalue the Naira to get loans? Is it appropriate?
Well, I think that if you ask the monetary authorities, they will tell you, that word devaluation is not in their lexicon, So they don't take devaluation. It's just that the thing started in value. Because when you devalue, you deliberately come and make a statement, to the fact that your currency you're going to sort of remove so much value from your currency. But to the extent that they've not done that, they've just allowed the thing, to slide within the market. So the authorities at the central bank today, including this president, they've said to us that they don't believe in devaluation, rightly, because devaluation is not a strategy. You don't just devalue your currency. You devalue your currency when you want to adopt export-led strategy, and you want to compete, and you have products you want to sell, and so you devalue your currency because you want the products to be cheaper in the international community, so you want to grow your market share, so you do that. But the crisis we have in this country, the problem we have in this country is the fact that we don't have an export base. The export base we have is monocultural in the sense that it's just oil. And the price of oil is, it's not within our power, to manage. So it's dictated by the international oil markets and OPEC, to which we belong. So devaluation for us is not an effective strategy, but we're being forced by essential reality, to allow the value of the currency, to slide on the market. So to the extent that you're not trying to make sure that the gap between the official and private market rate doesn't get too wide, the premium doesn't get too wide, because to the extent that it does that, the attractiveness of round tripping would increase. So these are all the challenges of running the economy.
All right. So when oil rises, will the Naira appreciate, or will the government force it to stay lower to get the foreign loans when oil eventually rises?
Well, when the oil rises, when it's going to rise, before you get the sort of rise that would impact on us effectively, then it takes on doing. We don't expect to see that within the next 1 to 2 years. You're talking of maybe oil price going back to about $100 a barrel. Now we're talking about, I think it's about 48 now. It was 42 for some time. It's gone up. The news about the vaccine and so on has made the price of oil, to appreciate a little bit. Even at that level, at 48, 47, it's still very low. It's still low for us. So we have issues. that's not enough for us to see the Naira, develop Naira to appreciate. What will make develop Naira to appreciate is that you must have inflow. You have an economy whereby we are so overly exposed to the external sector. And so with the things we demand, so the demand for dollar is almost insatiable. So, and we can't meet it. So the extent that you can't meet it, then you have a devaluation. You find people go to the black market and then the rest will depreciate and so on. So that's the challenge. So if we are thinking of Naira appreciating because of an increase in the price of oil, I don't see that happening in the near future.
Diversification has been mentioned a number of times as a means of ensuring financial viability. Is Nigeria doing enough to achieve this?
Well, if we have a diversified economy, well, I think to some extent, see, I think the point is that we need to put this in context in the sense that the economy is diversified to some extent, but what is the issue we have is the fact that our source of earning foreign exchange is not diversified. And so when you look at the oil market contributes just about under 10% of our GDP. And so if you're really talking about the real mover in terms of our economy, you're talking of agriculture, where you have almost 30% of our GDP. But because we're overly exposed, so we earn 90% of our foreign exchange from oil. And so when the oil market is, when it sneezes, we catch pneumonia. And so that has been the challenge. So we need to diversification from the perspective of earning foreign exchange. Yes, we're not, but the economic base is diversified. So that's one of the fallacies, that you find that is quite very common, amongst commentators. The economy is diversified, but the source of income is not diversified. So we need to export more from other products, other services, and there are so many that we're not touching. Even the oil market, the value chain, we're not capitalizing on the value chain. We still flare gas and so on. We don't do petrochemicals, solid minerals we don't touch. Services, it's a gold mine, entertainment, and so on and so forth. So there's so many other sectors whereby we'll zero in and we'll begin to attract appreciable foreign exchange. But unfortunately, we've not done that. And it's going to take us some time for us to be able to do that. So that's where we are.
All right, Dr. Bonface, the issue of resource control has been mentioned as a means of improving revenue and development. Can this boost GDP as it did when Nigeria had regions?
Well, resource control is very important because, you see, the fiscal realism today in Nigeria is challenged because there's over concentration on sharing. You see, nobody is thinking about breaking this cake. Everybody now wants to share. So the cake, the pie is shrinking, and the component parts are struggling, for a lion's share. So all sorts of stratagems are being conjured so that you get a bigger share of this, and that doesn't help anybody. And that's why those of us who talk about restructuring, that's what we mean. We mean we have to go back to getting the component units that are going to be competitive in the sense that if you earn some money, have resources in your place, you sell it, the funds you earn should accrue to you. And then you make a contribution to the center, for common services. We have to get back to that. If we don't get back to that, we're not going to make any progress.
All right. With the now ever-increasing debt profile, Doctor, don't you think Nigeria should renegotiate the terms of the loan as other countries like Ethiopia and Kenya did? Well, we can negotiate, but at least when you have a stalemate, you negotiate. So, but if you are, I don't think that everybody is giving allowances, so they see the pandemic, see the crisis everywhere, and so. But when you now begin to default and you have issues, and then that will be the time to get back to the table and then put us together, and then you ask for maybe some concessions, some, forgiveness and so on and so forth. We did that in 2016 when the Kunjiwala went and they got us a massive debt write-off. So we hope it doesn't get to that, but we're not too far from it.